We made quite a lot of changes to the Seeker, and it's a wonderful brand and it has a lot of unique features, and we wanted to reflect that.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Janet Bava, and I get to be the host of this wonderful podcast, Winds of Change. And with me here today, I am so excited because this special guest has been very busy. He's actually been on the invite list since we started the podcast and has been making his way around the world with special projects. And so with me here today, I am so excited to welcome Mr. John Gunner. Hi, John. Welcome.
Hi, Janet. Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here with you. I know this has been a long time coming.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Yes. And so I know you've been very busy. Don't tell us just quite yet. I'm going to ask you that question of why you've been very busy and where have you been. But before we get started, for those who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your lifelong career in the cruise industry and how you landed at Windstar?
Absolutely. No, it's been a long time and a career that I've really enjoyed. I started life working as an apprentice ashore. I was an electrical engineer, and I got to about the age of 22 and I thought, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I need to do something a little more exciting. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine said, why don't you apply to P&O Cruises? They have a wonderful project and the ships are great. So I applied, and a month later I was on a ship in Southampton. Wow. And I knew right away, Janet, that this was exactly what I wanted to do. And I've been doing it now for a very, very long time.
Don't count the years. It doesn't matter. It's a long time. Yes.
So no, I worked with P&O Cruises, which became P&O Princess Cruises.
Right.
Over time. And I worked on the ships for 20 years, went up through the ranks until at one point I was asked to go ashore and work in their new build group. So I was excited to do that.
Nice.
And I went into the group in Southampton, and I worked initially on the design, and then eventually ended up project managing some of our big Grand Class ships.
Amazing.
Which was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I really love Italy, and so I spent a lot of time in Italy with
the shipyards, right?
Fincantieri
Yes.
shipyard, and project managed a number of ships. I also did a couple in France. So I really enjoyed that aspect of applying the knowledge that I'd gained working on the ships for 20 years. And then ultimately Princess Cruises offered me a position as a vice president running the technical department in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So that was when I moved from the UK to the US, and I enjoyed that job for about 12 years before I retired. Mm-hmm. When I say retired, no, I had a call from the president of Windstar and said, can you help us out for 3 months?
Now, this is a president that we both know, right?
Yes, indeed.
This is Chris.
So well, it wasn't actually Chris at the time, but okay. Chris took over. But anyway, so they said, can you help me out for 3 months? And that was, I think, 7 years ago.
Wow. So you had been retired 7 years ago. Let me run through that story again. And so they called you out of retirement and they said, we need your help, John.
Right.
You've obviously very respected in the cruise industry, so everyone knows your name in the shipbuilding world and engineering world. Right. And they took you out of retirement 7 years ago.
Yes, and they just wanted me to sort of see how the technical department was running. So
okay.
I had the pleasure actually of visiting the ships. Mm-hmm. I saw all the ships apart from the one that was down in Tahiti, because that was a long trip. But so I gave some advice, and ultimately I actually took over as the vice president of operations before our friend Paul Barrett came in. When I stood back, and I took on this role of projects.
Yes, special projects. So yes. I know you've tried to retire through these last 7 years or go back to retirement in the last 7 years, but something's been keeping you very busy. And I usually ask guests, what was the last cruise that you've been on with Windstar Cruises? And do you want to tell everyone, what was the last cruise ship you were on? Because it wasn't actually a cruise, it was a cruise ship.
It was indeed, and the last ship I was on was the Star Seeker.
The very Star Seeker.
In Portugal.
Yes, in Portugal. And this is why Mr. John Gunner has not come and joined the podcast any sooner, because you've been very busy. in just the construction of our ship. And so
Right.
let's just talk about that for a minute.
Well, actually, it's a wonderful project. We're modifying the ships, as you know.
Right.
What our president calls Windstarizing.
Yes,
Which
it's a
is
new word. I've mentioned it before, Windstarnizing the ship.
Windstar. Chris and I spent a lot of time actually, and I know you were involved as well, Janet, in just making the ships fit our brand.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful brand, and it has a lot of unique features. And we wanted the ship to reflect that. So
Yeah.
we made quite a lot of changes to the Seeker, and we will, of course, do the same with Explorer.
Yes.
So we have spent probably the last year just making sure that those changes in the construction of the ship are as they should be and are being done well.
So let's talk about what makes a cruise ship a Windstar cruise and why you do need to Windstarnize these cruises. So let's talk about what you have exactly done, because I'm sure we're going to be showing some images on the screen of some construction, not so pretty images, but there's a lot of work being done. Can you tell them a little bit about what's making it Windstar?
Yeah, so we wanted to some degree emulate what we did on the Star Class ships,
Right.
Which is, we'll probably talk about that later. But so we changed the bow of the ship to make it a lot more of a yacht style profile.
I like to call, you did a nose job on the ship. Let's
a
call it
nose
what
job.
it is. It was a
Janet
nose
calls
job.
it a nose job.
I'm very non-technical, as you can see.
But no, it was. It actually turned out very, very well. So from a construction perspective, the ship looks a lot more like a yacht than the original ship. So and then of course we have our unique swimming platform at the stern of the ship, and that didn't exist on the ships that we were taking. So
Right.
so we did what we call a ducktail. We got the design of a ducktail, and we added some steel to the back of the ship, to the stern of the ship, so that we now have a platform that you can walk down some staircase onto the platform and jump straight into the sea.
Yes. So we have our marina also on the ship.
So we have a marina.
Yes.
Indeed. And then inside the ship we made one or two changes to some of the public areas, but particularly on the upper deck, we changed the pool arrangement so that we now have the pool structure between deck 7 and deck 8, with a jacuzzi halfway between decks. A little bit like the Star Class ships
Star
again.
Class, yeah.
That is a feature that I know everybody loves on our Star Class ships.
They sure do.
So we're excited for Seeker, and so those are the major changes. We've also put a jacuzzi on the bow of the ship, which is a feature that
Correct. Okay.
Windstar,
I have 3 more things on my list. Can I go through my
do.
list of what else you've done? Because these are the things that get me excited. Can we talk about the Horizons owner suite? Because you also put some beautiful suites, the best views of this ship, and it has a wraparound balcony.
We did. We were actually we're going to take some of the steel off the stern of the ship on deck 7, and we decided to keep it in order that we could have these large balconies. So we actually have ended up with 10 suites on the aft end. And 2 of them, as you say, are complete wraparound balconies with very large suites, and they're going to be spectacular.
Amazing.
They really are. And
Yes.
so you can access the stern of the ship and the side of the ship, and also you can lay in bed and look at the sea to see where we've actually just been.
Amazing. And you can be, we always talk about 24 hours room service, and you're going to have you can have a beautiful dining experience in your suite and have beautiful views, or you can actually be in your bedroom from your beautiful bed and watching the views, or just watching people jump off the ship from that balcony as well.
Oh, it's going to be a wonderful place and our guests will love it, I know.
I love it. The other one that I think about, that I get excited about, is the 2-story spa, basically, I'm calling it now. And so one of my favorite places on our Star Class ships is the spa.
Right.
And we have sauna facilities and thermal beds. And so that's an iconic piece that you added on. We'll talk about what we added to the Star Class ships in just a minute. But we have the spa that now has a check-in area, and then you can actually go down or up to the spa?
Yeah, access is from the deck above.
Yes.
And we've built a beautiful spiral staircase.
Yes.
And I'm sure Jessica will talk about the design. It's just fantastic. And I know as you come down the stair into the spa area, it's going to be a beautiful reception. And then, as you say, we have sauna facilities and massage facilities and so on. So it's going to be a very, very iconic spa experience.
Yes.
It was a little difficult to achieve because the deck in that area was sloped, so we had to put a false deck in.
I love it.
But and the shipyard have been very, very helpful.
They have.
In making sure that we get exactly what we need. So it's actually complete in terms of construction now. So they're just starting to do the kind of outfitting, putting the sauna in place and so on. So things are really moving on. And as you know, we've only got 6 months left.
We only have 6 months left, I know. So last feature I will say I'm very excited about, because we've talked a lot about culinary experience in our dining venues. We've talked about basil and bamboo. But on For a Restaurant, we'll have an outside deck, I believe, and that's kind of new as well. But it's very Windstar because we have our dining venues, but in a special little way.
Absolutely, and this alfresco area is quite a bit larger than we have on our Star Class ships.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be a really, really nice area to sit outside. It's covered, and so it's not quite so exposed. So if it's windy, we'll still have the availability to use that space.
Amazing.
It's going to be beautiful out there. In the fresh air and having a beautiful meal with your partner or whatever.
Yeah, your friends,
or
solo.
Very exciting. Or
yeah,
solo.
Or solo.
Absolutely.
And so the last thing I will say, now there's something about this ship that it's a new feature we don't have anywhere else, and that's the Infinity Suites. It's an all-suite ship like our Star Class ships, but we have the Infinity Suites. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for those who may not know?
Yeah, absolutely. The Infinity Suites are quite exciting, I think. I mean, it's nice to have a balcony.
Right.
But with the Infinity Suite, basically you have a complete glass wall between yourself and the outside, the sea. But the top part of the glass window comes down, so basically your cabin becomes a balcony.
Right.
And it actually works very, very well. You can lean on the rail as you would do if you were on a balcony.
Yes.
And you're in the fresh air, and you can do that anytime you like. You have control over the window. So you have the beautiful view if your window is closed.
Yes.
And if you open the window, you have the fresh air and
it's
the
like
view.
the best of both worlds.
So you get the best of both
and beautiful
worlds.
views, because that's why you go on a cruise, right? You have expansive views as well from that beautiful suite. So do love that. Now, I've kind of been pushing it off because I know that you also had a very special project. I keep saying special project because when I joined, I keep quoting it because I wondered. I'm like, John Gunner, VP of what does special project means? And now I get what it means. It's all the special things that we cannot figure out. We put him on there, and he builds it for us. But one of the things that I thought when I joined Windstar, I couldn't believe that you actually had worked on. And the reason why I say this is because I was part of a company that tried to cut a ship in half and extend it. And they only did it once and they never did it again because of how hard it was. But you were able and managed a project at Fincantieri during a pandemic where we not only cut one ship in half, we cut 3 in half and extended it. So do you want to talk about that adventure?
No, we did. And you're right. It was tough, but it was a very rewarding project.
I'm sure.
When we first started talking about it, we had a number of projects that we were working on. We've talked a lot about building new ships, and we're still talking about building new ships. But at some point, we decided that these 3 iconic ships are beautiful, but they would be better. They kind of needed a few more people just to get the atmosphere working.
Right.
So we decided to lengthen the ships. So as you can imagine, it took about a year working with Fincantieri to get all of the details sorted out. And you're quite right, there had been some failures in the past. So we were very focused on that.
Yes.
But we worked with Fincantieri. I had worked with Fincantieri in my new build experience for many years, so I knew them very well. And that was really good because we had a great relationship to build that technology to cut those ships in half and put them together. What I'm so pleased about And as you quite rightly say, we started the project and we had planned to do the project in a little under 2 years. Of course, then we had the pandemic. So ultimately, the whole project was a little over 3 years.
Right.
But what I'm so pleased about is that we, right from the very beginning, we said it's important that nobody should see where the ship was cut, either from the outside or, just as important, from the inside. So we, first of all, every single bathroom on the ship was replaced with a new bathroom.
Right.
Of course, we had the new section, which was 26 meters long. And we did all the corridors. So that, I've challenged a lot of people. Some of my family have been on cruises, as you can imagine.
Yes.
And I challenged people, tell me where the cut is. Nobody's ever actually found it.
Yes. I did have Chris one time point it out to me because he was very proud to say, and I was out on the top deck and I couldn't, it's right by one of the lifeboats, right?
Right.
And you just cannot, I was like, where? And then you can see it if someone literally points it at you.
But so the wonderful thing about that project and how unique it was, there were three major elements which were challenging. First of all, the age of the ships. The ships were 30 years old, and we needed to refurbish them.
Yeah.
And we did, I believe we did a fantastic job.
Fantastic. I've had people on board the ship who were on the ship when it was, when it first came out in all its glory.
Right.
People like Valerie Wilson who have said, this looks better. These ships look better than ever. And so congratulations, because I have heard raving reviews about the ships and
so that was one of the challenges. The second thing is that we actually put a 26-meter section in the center of the ship, and that's the longest addition to a lengthening project that's ever been done.
Wow.
At the same time, we re-engined the ships because obviously we're very focused, and I know you're focused as well on the environment.
Yes.
And we wanted to make sure that insofar as it was possible, the ships would be as environmentally friendly as possible. So we had these new Tier 3 engines fitted.
Wow.
So we had the three major elements of the challenge. And with Fincantieri, we talked to Fincantieri and they said, okay. and they made it happen with us.
Amazing.
So that was a relationship that worked very well. And I'm happy to say that it seemed to me, and I'm sure you will know better than me, that anybody who goes on those ships thinks they're wonderful.
They are.
With our wonderful crew, and the platform itself is just fantastic.
It's beautiful. It's the hardware and the software, and I love. To me, sustainability is also maintaining the pristineness of a ship and not beaching a ship. That just because she's 30 years old doesn't mean that she cannot be revitalized and gleaming like new. And I think you all have done exactly that, and you've updated it to current amenities, like we did the spa, thermal beds, specialty dining restaurants like Quadro 44. And so I would love for you all, because Quadro 44 is a restaurant that's still on board the Star Legend, the Star Pride, and the Star Pride, and you still have an opportunity to go and experience Quadro 44. Please, can you tell them all what Quadro 44, the inspiration behind the name of our specialty dining restaurant, because I think that's also something unique that not many people know.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept actually, because we were looking for a name. And as you may or may not know, ships are made up basically with frames, and there's a frame every just under a meter.
Okay.
And we talked about restaurants being named after their situation. So this is on frame number 44.
I love it.
And Quadro is the term for a frame. So it's frame 44.
Frame 44.
And it works very well actually.
I love it. When I found out that was behind it, first I didn't know that ships were built in frames, and I saw the design of how you all actually, that's how you can plan, right, a ship build, because you all are delivering equipment or working on a certain part, and that's how you all are logistically coordinating all the areas of the ship, and that's how it's done. So I learned not only how shipbuilding and how the coordinates work in the engineering world and marine world, but I learned also what a unique and creative our engineers and marine people are, because that was a spectacular name to the ship.
Yeah, and that's something that I learned over a long period of time. When I first started working on the ships, I realized that I needed to do a little more than the electrical engineering side of things. So I used to follow people around and the engineers and the naval architects and learn about the ships. So,
I love it. You're another inspiration for those listening who, inspiring the future generation of career cruise lifers like we are, how important it is to get experience on board the ship and then be able to work shoreside, and the possibilities are infinite.
Well, absolutely. Any young man or woman who are thinking about doing something different, please apply and go on the ships, because the world is your oyster. It's probably one of the best areas that you can work in that give you the opportunity to climb the ladder, for want of a better expression, because you can learn so much just following people around and seeing how things work. And that's how I did it. I've had a wonderful career within the marine industry, and I would encourage anybody to do that.
Well, and I thank you so much, because I know how busy you are, and the fact that you have joined us here today in person. I hope this is not the last time that you join us on our podcast. Absolutely. We have many questions for you. I'm sure our listeners will have many questions for John. So if you do have questions for John, we promise you we will bring him back. The last question I do have for you, which I ask every guest, is that if you're a Windstar prospective guest, future guest, and you're searching for what to do, where to go, what would you recommend to be the first Windstar cruise?
Okay, well, there are so many opportunities, as you know.
Yes.
But I guess Greece.
Okay.
I love Greece. I used to hire a sailing boat and sail around Greece. I don't do it so much now, but I love Greece as a destination, and I know we have some wonderful cruises around the Greek islands and so on.
We sure do.
So Kefalonia is just beautiful if you have an opportunity to go. So, to be honest with you, any cruise that you go on with Windstar Cruises, and I will give a shout out to our wonderful crew, because they have a fantastic way of making you welcome. They all remember your name. I'll tell you a little story. One time I was on a ship sitting having a coffee, and a group of guests came on board the ship. There were 8 of them, and they sat down at the table next to me, and I was just busy doing something. And the server came across and took all their orders and asked them all of their names. And then he went away and came back with their order. And one of the people at the table said to this to the server, "Okay, what are our names?" He got them all right except for one.
Wow.
And I thought at the time, this is exactly what makes us special. And I think our crew, our platforms, our wonderful sailing ships are just great. So please take the opportunity to go on any cruise you can with Windstar. But as a first cruise, absolutely, Greece will be wonderful.
Greece, I completely concur with you, and you have the option of taking either one of these beautiful ships that you have behind me. But I will tell you, there's not one interview that we've had where our crew is not part of the conversation.
I can believe that.
And setting us apart. And every single person that we've interviewed has a special story just like yours. And so thank you so much for sharing your story, and we cannot wait to welcome you back, John. It is an honor to work alongside you and to have you on board here on the podcast. Thank you so much.
And me for you. Thank you so much, Janet.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Welcome back to this second segment. We are talking all things that make our ships, from shipyard to you coming on board. And there's one individual, we've talked about John that we've been chasing around coming to this podcast. This next guest, Jessica Payne, welcome. We've been chasing her for quite some time, and we're so excited to have you here. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
And I will say, I would love to introduce you as our award-winning cruise ship designer, because you have allowed us not only to win 1, but 2 awards since I've joined, back to back, which is pretty incredible. So please, for those watching here today, introduce yourself and your background and your history.
Thank you. I'm Jessica Payne. So I'm the interior designer for Windstar Cruises. And I mean, my background in history, I was born and raised in middle of nowhere, Kentucky. I was landlocked, never even had seen the ocean until I was like 18. And I decided to go on a cruise in college with my mom. And I had this crazy idea that was like, I guess someone has to make this happen, right? Like, who brings all of this together? And I looked at my mom and I was like, I think I want to design a cruise ship.
Wow.
And my mom was like, okay, crazy. But I have very supportive parents. And so I went on to get an internship with Princess Cruises. And I just love the lifestyle and the uniqueness of a cruise ship, and yachts, and especially with sails. I mean, that makes it so much cooler. So yeah, here I am loving life at Windstar now.
So you joined Windstar when?
I joined January of 2023.
So like 2 years, 2 to 3 years ago. And since then, we have announced a major project, which is basically setting sails. And so these beautiful ships who have been sailing for over 30 years are going to be completely remodeled and have already begun their transformation. And so can you talk a little bit about what it takes to design and transform iconic ships that people love and adore?
I would love to. It takes an army of people, an army of support, and lots of logistics, which I think is often overlooked, is the operation of redoing these ships, right? But overall, it's also a lot of fun. So when I joined Windstar, I learned about the Setting Sails project, and I really dug into like, what do the guests see and what's the expectation before you even go on board? So we have so many loyal guests, but what am I looking at if I've never been on a sail ship before? Like, what is my expectation? And then I went on board and became familiar with the brand and the amazing crew and the amazing guest. And that's really when we started thinking about, what do we want our guests to feel and experience in these different venues? The ships are smaller, so a lot of the venues are used for a lot of different purposes.
Yes.
So you have to like find ways to make them functional, but also changeable and transitioning and to different day to night types of areas. So we really start with like a concept and operations. I'm working side by side, layering the storytelling and concept while I'm asking, the food and beverage team, like, how do you operate in here? What makes it most efficient? How are the guests sitting, or what is their experience like at the same time?
Right. So the beautiful thing about the Windstar, she's 148 guests, and she has, like you said, she has one main dining restaurant. Now the staterooms have not been completed yet. I know you're in the process of designing those, and by the way, all I hear feedback-wise on the Windstar is that those staterooms are so like smartly designed, because they're not large, but you don't feel like if you need anything else because of the way that it's all constructed and put together. So whoever designed those back in the day, congratulations. If you're watching this, I mean, beautifully designed. So I'm not talking about the staterooms now. I want to talk about the main areas. Can you tell us a little bit about, the transformation? When I saw the images of the Windstar when she came out of dry dock, I had to look closely, and the only reason why I knew that it wasn't a rendering and it was a real picture was because it had rained that day and there was like footprints on the picture of the rain. But otherwise, how you just talked about conceptually and storytelling, but you took a rendering and you brought it to life in a very, real way. And so can you tell us a little bit about that project and what makes the Windstar so special, and what was your learning from that?
I'd love to. That started with, not only looking at what the experience was of the guest and the crew, but kind of bringing back some of the roots of yacht architecture and modernizing it. So we wanted it to still feel like a sailing yacht that it is, but we wanted to add in a playfulness, like a little bit of surprise, because I think our guests do appreciate some surprise, right?
Yes.
You want a variety, like it doesn't need to be just woods and leather, which is like what people think of in a sailing yacht, is woods and leather and stitching. But there were ways to work that in and still keep it a little playful. So
and the ropes too, right?
And the ropes, yes, yeah. And it's still like, you love classic, but it's how can we up it a level? Like, we need a pop of color, or we need a wall that's good for photos, or something different to look at.
That's relevant to today, what the guest expectation is today.
Exactly. So that's kind of where we started, was classic modern, or classic yacht architecture, and then let's just make it a little playful.
I love it, which is all Windstar, right? I think we're like a classic sailing ship and cruise line, but we're also very playful and we don't take ourselves too seriously. We like to have fun. So I love that. So you do the Windstar, and then you have the largest sail ship of them all, the Windsurf. What a project. Can you tell me about what's so unique? Because just the other day I saw some additional images of the Windsurf and the beautiful wine room. I mean, just gorgeous. So can you tell us a little bit about that project?
I'd love to. The Windsurf is like very special to me, just because it's a different ship. So it's the only one of its kind within our fleet. And she's pretty big. I mean, she's small when you think about a cruise ship.
Right, it's 348 guests.
348 guests, so that's a big yacht.
Yes.
With a bunch of different spaces. And the spaces on the Windsurf are different layouts than any of the other ships, right? So it is different in that sense as well. So with the Windsurf, we did stick to, okay, it's still a sailing yacht. Like, let's stick with our original concepts from the Windstar. But there are different spaces, and they have different uses on the Windsurf. Like, the compass rose is so loved on the Windsurf. It's on the aft, and it has doors that open up to the entire outside deck. And it's just a really popular area. So we want to keep the heart of what the venue was, but how do we make it? What's the new vibe? What does the entertainment look like now?
Yeah.
What is the beverage operation like? How can we make it better?
Yeah.
And then I really just like try to lay some beauty on top of the operation, right? But the wine room you mentioned as well.
Okay, you're discounting what you do. She does not just lay beauty on top of operations. This is something else. This is like a breathtaking moment that our guests had when they stepped on board. I mean, you have people like Nancy Cutter. Diana will always tell the story. She literally called her crying, like when she saw the Windstar when she first stepped on board. And so you have guests that come on board these ships and like are literally emotional about what you've done, because you've transformed it. And like you said, you've kept the classy, iconic features of these sailing ships, and then you've brought it to life in a very beautiful and elegant and modern way.
Yeah.
And so
you.
Please don't discount the work that you've done. You're making it seem too easy. I mean, you're somebody who has worked very, very hard to turn these ships into like the beauty and glory, and to bring out the beauty and glory of these ships. So don't discount that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know it is funny when people in the office sit next to me and they're like, "What are you looking at?" And I'm like, "I'm just looking at this detail of this seat." And they're like, "That all goes into his seat?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you really don't see all the details that go into everything." I mean, a transition in the floor we could work on for hours, just trying to figure out how to get it just right.
Yes. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So the Windsurf. So what are the kind of the new features that you did instill? Because I know there's a really cool screen like out at the lounge. Like what can people expect if they've been on the Windsurf prior to its renovation in the common areas? What can they expect when they join now?
Yeah, there are some really cool upgrades. So we have the LED wall in the lounge, which is beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, some of us were hesitant. Like, it's a little scary when you're putting that much technology in a room, that hasn't had it before. But it's incredible. I mean, presentations like never before. You can put anything up there, and it just changes the atmosphere.
Love it.
And then you also find the Amphora wine room. So what was this kind of transition space that didn't have a character before? It was like a waiting room for the dining area. We turned it into a wine room. And that's one of my favorite areas.
And I think our guest favorite too. I've seen a lot of comments and pictures on it online.
I love that area. And a lot of inspiration for the wine room came when Stain, our COO, and I were visiting the Seeker ship. We were in Porto, and we stopped in this little new open area, and they had just put in a wine gallery in a very old traditional Porto building. And so a lot of the details you see in that wine room actually derived from one of our trips.
Amazing. And let's stay with Amphora, because one of the biggest transformations that we saw that I was just like, wow factor here. And that was another one that I saw the picture and I couldn't tell if it was a real picture or rendering, because it looked exactly like what was planned. The portholes that you opened up. I mean, you had a restaurant prior to that had been closed up. I mean, people love natural lighting. They love the views. That's why you're out in the ocean. And someone had closed up the most beautiful piece of the restaurant.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that, what you all did?
Yeah, and this was actually a very large feat for us, because it was a major challenge of you have to be careful with windows when they're near the bridge. and making sure that light isn't coming out or distracting anyone.
Why? I think that's a great learning. I didn't know that.
Yes. So, I mean, the bridge, it needs to have total darkness, basically,
right.
to see and navigate at night. So there can't be light distraction, especially if it's coming from underneath. It gets a little bit like, oh, what is that? So the windows have to be a special type of glass. So we had to replace the windows, which is quite expensive and also a project in itself. And these portholes particularly look over the mooring deck. So we were a little concerned of like, what does the view from this porthole look like? But it's also comes back to like, it's a sailing yacht. So it's cool to see outside, like what's happening, what's going on out there. Maybe you see ropes, maybe you do see steel or something, but it's part of the experience and it brings in natural light. So when you're dining, especially in the Med and the sunset is setting at dinner time, you still get some of that natural sunset light into the restaurant. It changes the mood overall and it opens up the restaurant. Totally,
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I cannot wait. I haven't seen the windsurf, but I live vicariously through all of you who continue to share pictures and images. So thank you all to all of our yacht club members who sail on board and always share those pictures. Last thing, because I could ask you questions forever, but I do want to talk about last year, we won an award for Best Suite Design. And the reason why this award is so special, it's not only because of the fact that it celebrates two of our sister brands, the Sea Island and Broadmoor, but we were up against brand new ships that had beautiful suites, and you brought home a beautiful trophy for Best Suite Ship Design. And so that was for the Sea Island Suite and the Broadmoor Suites on board our Star-class ships. And so can you talk about what was done? We have 2 owner suites and how you transformed that space and the team transformed that space, and why is it so special that it was, won an award?
Of course, yeah. So we actually, before I came into Windstar, this was conceptualized already.
Yes.
So we worked with a design team and some amazing contractor partners to visit the Sea Island and the Broadmoor and get a sense of like what's the vibe here. And we really wanted to bring it on board, and it meshes perfectly with our brand, I think, like the Sea Island brand and the Broadmoor brand. It's this upscale, yet you can find a comfort in it, right? It's upscale, it's luxury, but it's comfortable.
Right.
It's livable. So it's really perfect for these suites, and they're the perfect size. They're very roomy. You have like these sitting areas in different places within the suite, all in a ship.
Yes, absolutely. And so now we have the Star-class ships. All 3 of them have the Sea Island and the Broadmoor, and those are suite numbers 501 and 502 on the Star. And I remember them because, they're iconic, and everyone's always asking us how to book it. But you did the same on the Windsurf as well.
We did, yes. So we really transformed this Broadmoor Sea Island concept, again, because it is a different layout, the Windsurf, from any of the other ships. But we love them so much on the Star class that we're like, oh, we should do this on the Windsurf as well, right? So we now have Broadmoor and Sea Island on the Windsurf. Again, extremely roomy suites. Every time someone goes in there, even the bathrooms. You probably, I don't know if this is a true fact, but I've never seen such large, luxurious bathrooms on any other ship.
Ever. Any other ship, any of ours, any out there. Yeah, it's expansive.
Exactly. So you have a new, totally upgraded suites on the Windsurf as well.
So I love it because I do want, fun fact, we always talk about the common areas of the sail ships. All 3 of them have been completed, the Wind Spirit, the Windsurf, and the Windstar. But the suites on those ships, and on the Windsurf specifically, you had the former, what was it called? Not the owner suite. It's now an owner suite.
There was a bridge suite.
A bridge suite. And it's now been completely remodeled along with the Sea Island and Broadmoor. So guests can enjoy that. So what I would recommend is for you to contact us and see if those suites are available in your desired sailing. They do sell fast, but it's an experience in itself. Imagine, being out at sea and feeling like if you're in Sea Island or Broadmoor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. It fits right in. The color scheme, the comfort of it, it's great.
Amazing, yes. And so, Jessica, I'm going to ask you, we're coming to the end of the podcast episode, and I'm going to ask you what I ask everyone. For those listening and getting inspired to sail with Windstar, if you had to choose one sailing for them to go and sail to as their first Windstar cruise, which one would that be?
My favorite is, if you have 7 days, then I would do Rome to Barcelona.
Okay, I love that.
I just love the Med, and I love the feeling of we really go into the city. So you
Yes.
get off in Malaga or Barcelona and you're in the city already, which is so rare.
Walk right to Las Ramblas. You can walk
Yes.
from Barcelona to Las
You
Ramblas.
walk right in, like it's mind blowing. And then if you have a little longer, then I would even do Barcelona or Rome to Lisbon. Because then you
Yes.
really hit like Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, and
Yes.
you're right in the middle of all these cities just getting off the ship.
Yes, and we do this itinerary like year round. We do these itineraries and we have different ships. But the Star Legend, if you're listening in and you still want to go this year, it's Europe's Winter Riviera because we hit Nice and you can go to Monaco. And these places are spectacular all year round. I mean, you mentioned going all the way to Lisbon and Barcelona and getting off in Las Ramblas. When people talk about, you know, the overcrowdedness, and that's usually in the summer months, right? Like June, maybe July, August, we sail there. But the perfect time to go is absolutely during the winter and fall and spring months. Perfection, and you have a lot more locals than you do tourists, so it's always a great time to go to these iconic cities you just mentioned.
Totally agree.
Yes.
Agree.
For those of you listening in, if you want to comment, chat, ask questions to Jessica, let us know. She's going to stay connected, and this is not going to be the last time that she's here on the podcast. Jessica, thank you so much. This was, well awaited, but very much really appreciated. And so thank you so much for taking the time off your busy schedule and joining us.
Thank you so much.
To all of you, goodbye and see you soon.